Hey Pat.
What?
What up, y'all? It's the Black Critic Guy. I'm here today with my good longtime friend Patrick. You remember him from Dual Dimension, and also we did collaborative videos on Mr. Pimpleman. The last time we did an anime review was on our favorite anime of all time, School Rumble. And so we're back again to review another anime called
Paranoia Agent.
And what did we think of us? You mother. So what did you think of the anime, Pat?
Well, the beginning, I want to say like the first 5 or 6 episodes seemed to make sense. And then it kind of twisted off into these random stories.
Yeah.
That didn't even seem like I was watching the same anime anymore.
It's just like it had a coherent story, and all of a sudden like all these different random things were happening, and then it went back to the original story. We're like, oh, okay, that's good.
At least it tied it all in at the end.
Yeah, that was good.
Like the last 2 episodes, they were just like, oh, we gotta save this. I forgot we're making a serious anime.
Definitely.
The basic premise of Paranoia Agent is it follows the main character Tsukiko, who creates and designs characters for children's shows and dolls. Go ahead, Tony.
So after creating the very successful and very popular character of
Marumi,
she has a tremendous amount of pressure and stress to see if she's gonna make another big hit kind of creation. And so her boss is like hammering her to make a new character, make a character as big as
Marumi.
So, you know, she's going through a lot of stress, and one night after the stress is just built up, she's walking home, and as she's walking home, it appears that a kid wielding a golden bent bat and on roller skates attacks her, and she reports like, oh, I got attacked and all this stuff. And the detectives are trying to figure out whether or not she did get attacked or she was lying about the attack. And from that event, numerous stories springs up from that one isolated event, and that's where Paranoia Agent begins. So I heard of Paranoia Agent from Patrick, who heard it from
Chris Robinson.
And Chris, if you're watching this, what's up, man? And like we said, we enjoyed it. It's just that somewhere in the middle, like, you know, after episode 5, it just went off on its own, like
they were
little
knights.
stories.
They were like knights fighting some like giant monster or something like that.
Animators and like
yeah, like a whole bunch of random stuff that happened. It felt like I was watching like Bobobo, where like you. They have like a little bit, like the first 5 episodes are just like straight story. I was like, this is gonna be like a detective anime. They're trying to find the one guy that's doing all of this stuff. It's like Death Note kind of, and then it hops from like, imagine like you're watching Death Note and then you click the next episode and you're automatically watching Bobobo with Death Note animation.
So Pat, what in this anime did we really like? Like, what did we find intriguing? What did you find intriguing?
I liked that throughout the show they keep Shonen Bat a mystery in the sense of whether or not you know he's an actual person or he's just this thing that people have in their head and they're building up to, and that it got us complicated. Like we were confused about it for a while. We had to think about, is this an actual person? Or
he's a figment of our imaginations. Like they just automatically think of him and he just shows up.
Exactly. So like another pro about the anime that I also enjoyed was just the concept in general of you kind of catch on to how Shonen Bat, like which kind of people Shonen Bat chooses to attack. They go through certain things throughout the show that I'm not going to spoil for you guys.
Let's just say that in the show, they really tackle on very dark secrets about families, about other
hidden things that people in society won't accept, so people that go through those things have to keep them in the closet and keep it in the background.
So everything that Patrick said is exactly what happens in this anime. A lot of themes, a lot of dark elements, a lot of things that you won't see that's always behind closed doors, and I loved how each story in some way connected back to our main story in a sense.
And yes, the last pro that I want to say...
I was about to say, like, the animation. Do we want to talk about that? Because I gotta say, like,
we can talk about that. That's what you do. I'm more, when I watch an anime, I like to think. I like those animes where you watch it and you have to pause that part of the episode to think back on something, or you have to, you know, at the end of the episode you're like, damn, how does whatever I just watched tie into everything that I already watched before? And you have to make connections and think about it. And if you want to really think about what's going on in the anime and you want to watch an anime that'll really get you going, like just thinking about concepts and and getting deeper meaning out of stuff, then you definitely want to watch Paranoia Agent.
A few pros that I want to talk about is the animation. I felt was really solid. They really did a more realistic tone for this anime. But some episodes, like we're gonna get into in a few seconds, didn't really have that realistic vibe that we wanted. But for the most part, there was a very realistic tone to this anime. It was really down to earth, and you really felt for these characters. And speaking of characters, there's some good character development. Especially some characters have really strong backstories. I don't want to say too much because they're kind of like spoilers.
Yeah.
But like what Patrick was saying, like how I said earlier about some secrets that we keep from other people. Like we might look normal, but in like behind closed doors we're different people. You know, they really develop that and they really highlight that, and it's unbiased. And what I mean by unbiased is they don't sugarcoat it, they don't try to glamorize it, they show it for what it really is, and I really liked how they highlight that in this anime.
And when they're by themselves, they really have inner conflicts with themselves. Every character in this anime had something going on with them.
Yeah,
a
behind
family
closed
situation. You know, just
sometimes it's like in their minds too.
A lot of them had a lot of difficulty dealing with, you know, just different things going on, especially a lot of interpersonal mental things that were going on, and they were just trying to basically figure out, you know, who they were, what's going on in the situation, how they can fix it, and they were just so into it, it ended up driving them all crazy. And that's exactly a reflection on people in America or anywhere around the world that are stressed over work and get too into their work. People with bipolar disorder, anything like that, where they just can't figure out who they are. That's exactly what this anime is tackling. And Shonen Bat is the manifestation of their insanity.
And also is the manifestation of like letting go and freeing themselves from this harsh reality. He's the one that kind of saves them,
He's
sort
the
of say. He's the escape. It's kind of like how people do drugs in order to escape from the shit life that they live. Now, Pat, we've said a lot of great things about this anime, but what did we not like about it? Or a few things. Like we mentioned earlier, there are some stories that just it felt out of place. They felt goofy. And
they built up a lot of... They introduced characters throughout the anime, and you get this feeling of, okay, every single one of these characters that I just saw is going to come together at one point with the other ones that I saw, and they're all going to intertwine at the end. But what the anime lacked and didn't do was they built up all of these wonderful stories and wonderful background stories and, you know, fantastic concepts, and everything was just fine. And you turn to the next episode and you don't even see those characters at all.
Yeah, they disappear. And real quick, we're going to do one spoiler. So if you don't want to hear this, skip about maybe a minute and come back. Anyway, Pat?
Prime example, I forgot what episode it was, but there are 3 people that are seemingly trying to kill themselves. And they go through the whole episode, and this inner conflict of, you know, there's 2 guys and a little girl, and the little girl wants to follow the 2 little guys, or the 2 other guys, to commit suicide, but they don't want her to because they want her to live on and everything like that. So the episode continues to go down that route. At the end of the episode, you kind of get you kind of think that they're ghosts because of just some of the things that they showed at the end of the episode. And you say, okay, well, you know, at this point we were thinking that Shonen Bat was a figment of someone's imagination, or maybe a spirit of some sort. So maybe these spirits were connected with Shonen Bat, or maybe is connected to some of the people that have had encounters with Shonen Bat and things like that. And the next episodes and the episodes after that, we never saw them again.
Yeah,
we never heard of them again. There was no references to them, nothing. They were just completely gone.
Their story was literally taken out of the anime.
Exactly, and that's something they needed to fix. I think it would have been a lot better if they just took everyone's story and made it all one.
Going off of what Pat said in the spoiler, there were some characters that didn't have a full resolution. And yes, they were developed decently, but you didn't really understand the motive behind them or also how they connected with the main story. As he mentioned in the spoiler section of this review, there's 3 characters that felt kind of out of place and they weren't referenced or brought up ever again in the anime. There are also other stories as well dealing with a few animators. They had a story that sort of was connected in a sense because of an animation they were doing, but as the characters of their entirety, they had no real relevance to the story. I think it ends like it's fulfilled. The ending is fulfilled.
The characters are fulfilled, but I'm not.
Well, no. we're not fulfilled because the problem with the ending, this is a con for me, it was good, but it left more questions unanswered than it presented in the beginning of this anime. It basically ends to the point where it leaves you with a bunch of questions, and I think because they want us to kind of piece the puzzle together of what we think happened at the end. What do you think about that?
I think maybe they were trying to let us create our own little thing at the end and be like, draw our own individual ideas from it and conclusions from it. But at the end of the anime, you don't know, like, I didn't know whether or not they were the same people at the end of that.
Exactly.
Because throughout the anime, especially towards, you know, about halfway and to the end, they really do a lot of jumping between this is reality and then this is your world, your fake world, your escape. But, oh, we're back in reality, but we're, like, half of our body's in the reality and then the other half is in the fictional world. Like, you really have to pay attention. Like I said, you're going to miss it. And they don't give you anything like, oh, we're about to go to the spirit world, guys. Just be prepared for that. Like,
no, it just happens
instantly. The end, I didn't really know. It was a good ending. It was decent.
It was decent, definitely.
But it didn't answer, because when you start this anime, you're gonna have a lot of questions. Who are these people? What's going on? How are they connected? Who's Shonen Bat? Why does he attack them? Like, a whole bunch of stuff.
And they answer many of those.
They've answered a majority of my questions.
But the thing is, it ends with more questions.
It's like by the end of the anime, they answered 75. Say, like, I had 10 questions. Example, I had 10 questions, and they answered about 7 of the 10 questions by the end of the anime. But on the last episode, they added an additional 10 questions that I had. So I never knew exactly what had happened. And I might have to go watch it again or see some other reviews or anything like that. But the ending needed
a little work. So overall, Pat, like, what do you think of this anime?
I think if you really want to watch an anime that'll make you think, but at the same time keep you entertained, you really want to watch this. I thought it was a really good anime. I like those animes where, you know, you're really engaged with the characters and you follow along their story and you want to help them figure out what's going on, you know, and you really think about it. So I really enjoy this anime.
Do you have a score for this anime?
I would probably give it. It was sitting at a like 4.5. I guess you don't do 4.6 or 7, but it was like 4.7 for me. The ending, towards the middle actually, when everything got random and kind of confusing, I enjoyed it because I enjoyed Bobobo and things like that, like just random stuff. So it didn't lose any points, but the ending just really was like, I gotta take a little bit from you because you didn't give me everything either. So I'm gonna have to give it like a 4.3. It
tackles very taboo subjects that not really brought up a lot in animes or even in any media in general. And I really liked how they highlight that. I thought the character development was handled very well. The animation is solid and it gave this feel of realism sometimes. And actually, some of the imagery in the anime, I forgot to mention this earlier, was really good. He talked about how the people were walking, like hopping. It's an animation style, and I give them props for doing that because the animation style was pretty ballsy, and you know, it kind of gave the feel of a different world, and that's what they were trying to imply. So the visual styles is awesome. The opening theme is cool.
Fantastic.
I find it catchy. In fact, I just did it earlier, and I loved it. I'm gonna give this anime a 4 out of 5 stars. I definitely think it's worth watching. It's really one of those animes that make you think. But anyway, what did you guys think of this anime?
Did you like it or hate it? And go ahead and give us your favorite psychological anime down below.
Yes, comment below and let us know. And also stay tuned this Thursday for the Final Cut, where we be discussing biopic films. Basically biopics of like famous people, because Lincoln comes out this Friday, you know. It just works for that. But anyway, I'm the Black Critic Guy, joined by my good friend Patrick Russell, Dual Dimensions, Mr. Pippleman, bridging the gap between movies and anime reviews. Till then, peace, YouTube.